How many of you like to eat food? Yeah, come on now. Come on. Let me give you a little hint. If you're ever in a public speaking thing and you want people to participate, just ask them a dumb question like that. Like, how many of you like to breathe? Or I don't know, whatever. So we all like to eat for sure. So I have a list of several places and products that we all enjoy, right? Coca-Cola, Krispy Kreme, come on, Dr. Pepper, KFC, and Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, absolutely. Yeah, you can clap for Chick-fil-A. Now, the problem with that is, and my goal is to make you hungry enough where you wish that Chick-fil-A was open on a Sunday, because it's not. You can't eat Chick-fil-A today. And I'm probably going to tick you off, so you'll have to wait until tomorrow. 24 hours, man. You got to wait till you can have some Chick-fil-A, all right? So what do these all have in common? Because there's a hidden thing in the midst of all of these, all right? And I want to tell you this. They all have a secret recipe for how these are created that's locked away somewhere. Did you know that? Coca-Cola, for example. There's a piece of paper that has a recipe for how to make Coca-Cola on it. And it is locked in the headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, the Coca-Cola Museum, in a vault. And nobody has access to it. But that recipe is there. Krispy Kreme. Now, this one caught me a little off guard, all right? Krispy Kreme has a recipe that's locked in a vault that makes Krispy Kreme unique and special. And I thought, that's a donut, man. Like, everybody makes donuts. But they have a recipe for the glaze that goes on a regular glazed donut for Krispy Kreme. That's a special recipe that's locked away. Hidden recipe. Dr. Pepper. How many of you guys like Dr. Pepper? I'm not a huge Dr. Pepper fan. Well, I'll speak to you then, all right? If you like Dr. Pepper, you need to know this. 2 things. Number 1, Dr. Pepper has, again, ingredients, a recipe for how to make Dr. Pepper. The problem with Dr. Pepper is that the guy that created that wrote that recipe down on 2 different pieces of paper, but wrote half on one and half on the other one. And those recipes are locked in vaults at 2 different banks in Dallas, Texas. So if you want to go and steal the recipe for Dr. Pepper, you have to break into 2 vaults, not just one. You got to bust into 2 of those things. And scientific research, according to the internet, says, this will be a blessing if you like Dr. Pepper, all right? One of the 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper they have found is not prune juice. Is that a blessing to you? Huh? Yeah, so when you drink Dr. Pepper, it is not prune juice. Hopefully that blesses you today. The next one, though, KFC. You know, Colonel Sanders, man, creates KFC. 11 herbs and spices. What are in those? There's a recipe with it written down that's locked in a vault somewhere of how they make Kentucky Fried Chicken. And last of all, man, Chick-fil-A. We wouldn't be good Christians if we didn't talk about Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A. Truett Cathy came up with the recipe for how to make that chicken sandwich. And again, it's locked in a vault in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I'll tell you that Atlanta, Georgia has great stuff in it. And I came from Atlanta, not Atlanta, but I came from Georgia too. So Chick-fil-A and I, we're right here. We're on the same page for sure. So I want to tell you today, and I'm excited to share with you, that did you know that Abundant Life Church also has a secret recipe? Did you know that? We have a secret recipe. The only problem with it is it's not locked in a vault, and it's not really a secret either. Just a recipe. But we have ingredients that make us who we are, that people enjoy. So, man, I want to tell you about our recipe, our secret recipe, and what ingredients we have. All right? So if you're taking notes, here, get out a piece of paper, get out the app. If you're online watching, grab somebody's hand and maybe a marker or something. I don't know. And grab some notes, all right? The first thing I need you to write down is this one right here. It says, think big. We will go big or go home. We refuse to insult God with small thinking. We serve a big who? Who does big? God does big things. Absolutely. And the Bible talks all about it. It talks about in this one right here. 1 Corinthians 2:9. But as it is written, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man, the things which God has prepared for those who what? Love him. Man, we love God. And that verse tells me, I can't even comprehend and imagine what God has prepared for me. God thinks so big of my life that I can't even wrap my head around what that's going to look like or what it's going to be. So Abundant Life Church, man, one of our ingredients is this. We think big. We'll go big or go home. because we serve a big God. I think about an example of this. I think about if you would have come to our church maybe 3 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, you would have had to come on a Sunday. You couldn't have come on a Saturday because we didn't have Saturday night services. We only had Sunday services. We had 2 Sunday services. And so we talked about in that time as a staff, as a leadership, as kind of those guys, we talked about what would church look like if we did a Saturday night service? What would it look like? Because the Sunday services were growing, and the only way that we can grow here is by turning things around and doing another service. So we were like, man, we should do a Saturday night service. I wonder what we could do with that. So we began to talk about it. What time should we do a Saturday night service? We prayed, man, God, do you want us to do a Saturday night service? What do you think? And in those meetings, we kind of came up with 2 options. We could either do Saturday night services as just kids, as just worship, preaching, and leave kind of the rest of the church alone. So kind of a stripped down version of church. Or we could do it with preaching, worship, kids ministry, all the stuff we have going on. And so we're debating that. We're talking about, wow, which one should we do? You know, which one would be the best? And somebody in that meeting pulled our core values sheet out. And the first one that said was think big. And it says, we will go big or go home. And immediately in everybody's mind in that meeting, it was like, man, that settles it. Piece of cake. We have to do Saturday night services big. We have to have kids ministry and parking lot and greeters and ushers and serve cookies and fruit punch and all of that stuff because we believe in going big or going home. So we either do a big Saturday night service like Sunday mornings or we don't need to do Saturday night services at all. So that settled it, man. We started Saturday night services, and that thing has grown. You guys should be here on Saturday nights. This place is hopping, man. It's cool. It's cool for sure. Another example of thinking big is in the coming months, you'll hear about, through the announcements and stuff, something called Samaritan's Purse and Operation Christmas Child, right? The shoebox thing. How many of you guys, the shoebox thing, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah? Where you pack a shoebox up with like just toys and stuff and you send it through them and they give it to kids around the world that can't celebrate Christmas. So they get to celebrate Christmas and hear about Jesus kind of all at the same time, which is awesome. So last year at Abundant Life Church, we gave away and we packed 650 of those boxes. Come on, that's awesome. You guys should be excited about that. Yeah, absolutely. And you say, oh, Toph, that's big. It is. But we think big, and we honor God when we think big. So can I tell you that this coming year, when we do this, we've got our heart and our faith set on, man, we're going to double that. And we're believing God for 1,300 boxes because we serve a God who does big things. And we honor God when we think big like he does. We're gonna fill 1,300 of those things. So begin to save your shoe boxes because we're coming for them. Buy up some little toys from Dollar Tree or whatever because we're coming for them, man. We're going to fill up and bless those kids for sure. That's right. We think big. The next ingredient that I need to let you know about is this one right here, is change. It says, we will change. The church must continually move with God. The message is the same, but the methods must progress with the culture. Man, can I tell you, if you took a poll of all of the churches in the United States, the majority of churches, you would say, are stuck in what they do, how they do it, and there's not really any change that happens there. You know, we worship the same way that we worshiped 15 years ago because that's just how we do things. You know, we treat people the same way we treated them 20 years ago because that works for us. You know, but you go to a church that, man, we believe in change. We believe in change. And before you flip out and think, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Let me let you listen to this. The message is the same. Let's pause right there. The message is the same. Paul said it this way in the New Testament. He said, I preach Christ and him crucified. Plain and simple. That's all that it is. So what we do here is we preach Christ and him crucified. We preach that we preach who God is. We preach that he wants to have a relationship with you. And we believe that through that you can experience abundant life here on this planet as well as in heaven. The message doesn't change at all. But the methods of how we do that, man, it changes with the culture. It changes with the culture. We live in a sight and sound generation. Everything has to be captured sight and sound wise, which is why we have louder music for worship. It captures people, man. Lights capture people. Who knew that shining lights around the stage could have people encounter Jesus? But it works. It works. We cast the broadest net to catch as many people as we can for a weekend so that they can have an encounter with God. That's our heart. But sometimes that means that the methods that we use have to progress with the culture. So we worship probably different than you worshiped as a kid at your church. We teach kids in kids ministry, maybe a little bit different than you were taught as a kid in your church growing up. But the message stays the same, man. We're still preaching about God. We're still telling the kids that Jesus loves them. But the way that we're doing it may be on a TV now, or it may be through a game, or it may be through some interactive stuff like that. The methods change, but the message stays the same. So you can be confident that regardless of how we do church here, our heart is for God, and that God leads us and guides us in that. The second thing that I need to let you know about is this one, man. This is the third one. Evangelism. It says, we will win the lost. We will do anything short of sin to reach people who don't know Christ. Man, that should be our heart as believers. Anything that I can do to impact somebody for Jesus, man, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I think about verses like this. It talks about in Romans, it talks about, how then shall they call on him in whom they have not yet believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a what? Without a preacher. Man, who's a preacher? Not just me. That's right. It's you and me. It's not just Pastor Charlie, man. If you're sitting in this place, you have the opportunity to evangelize, to tell people about Jesus. Now, let me tell you, we go about this in kind of two different ways. The first thing is as a church, our heart is to impact the community, right? So we'll do things like, and it's amazing how God works. It's amazing how God works in that you can get together a bunch of people, park them in a field, put up a big movie screen, and we'll have a drive-in movie. And people are blessed and reached for Jesus through that, right? We can have a bunch of kids come, and we'll do an Easter egg hunt at Easter in the gym with balloons and eggs, and man, they just have so much fun. But the heart behind that is, man, we're telling people about Jesus. But it's more than just sitting them down and saying, hey, listen to me. Let me tell you about what God is or who Jesus is or what he did for you. It's through relationship. That's our greatest tool for evangelism. It's through relationship. Because here's the reality. You know people that I don't know. You know people that Pastor Charlie doesn't know. You go to work in places that I don't work at. Your family is different than mine, right? Therefore, you have access to people in your life that I can't talk to. You can talk to them. So take the opportunity, man. Anything short of sin, whatever it takes to reach somebody for Christ, man, that's what we want to do. Whether it's community events, we go to the fair. We went to the fair this past summer and we worshiped. And we were unapologetic with that. We're not playing like secular music and throwing in some worship stuff. It was straight up. We're singing about God, man, and what he does and how good he is. And if you want to come and listen to that, you're welcome too. We would love for you to come and be a part of our worship service at the fair. And can I tell you that people did? People did, and we're blessed by that. We reached people for Jesus at the fair through music until a tornado came and shut it all down. Can I tell you a side note? Man, we split the worship team up that night into two chunks because we have so many people. So we had one worship team, in a sense, play the first set of music, and then we had that break. And then we had another whole different worship team, still people from here, coming to play the second set. And that second set of worship team guys, they were all hot and mad, man. They were like, we practiced for this. We were so excited. We practiced. They were like, we practiced. They were like, we practiced. We practiced. Was supposed to practice to play at the fair. No, not at the fair. At the picnic, church picnic. And then it got shut down. So they're a little sensitive about it. Don't talk to them. Yeah. So we believe in evangelism. And I really think that going big, thinking big, change and evangelism really have to do with how we impact the community, how we impact people outside of this place, right? But we also are intentional with impacting people inside these walls. You're here today for a reason. So what core values speak to you? Well, I'm glad that you asked. Write this one down. This one is sacrifice. It says, we will sacrifice. We will give up the things we love for the things that we love more. It's an honor to sacrifice for Christ and his church. Can I tell you, at 7:30 last night, when the Georgia Bulldogs kicked off against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I was not watching that game. I love the Georgia Bulldogs, man. I like to keep track of how they're doing. That's my team, man. It's my team. But I gave up what I loved for something that I love more. Man, I was here preaching instead, and I wouldn't have traded that for the world. But my heart was fine to not watch them and do this instead. And you say, oh, you had to. No, I mean, I might have had to, but my heart was for, man, this is valuable and important. This takes priority over that, right? And we have people all over this church that exist with a heart for sacrifice. Let me tell you about one example of what that looks like. We have at church here, you hear it every announcement video at the very end of it. It says, if you'd like to sign up for a Get to Know Us luncheon, please check the box on your Connect card, and someone from the ALC staff will contact you, right? That was pretty good. I could do the announcement video. So our heart for a Get to Know Us luncheon, check this out. We have always done Get to Know Us luncheons, and the heart behind it is this. We realize that people coming to church for the very first time, checking our church out, man, that's hard. Going into a church for the very first time can be one of the most awkward things you ever do in your life, right? So we want to make that as nice and simple as we can. So we invite you to come to a lunch. That lunch consists of this. You come in, we meet at Taylor Schools in their cafeteria area, and we eat a meal. Nothing weird about that. It's good food. How many of you guys have been to a Get to Know Us luncheon? Yeah, see, all these people are still alive. You're good. It's good food. So we eat a meal, and you sit at a table then with a leader from the church. And they talk to you about, hey, where are you from? How long have you been coming? You know, that kind of stuff. This is what I do at the church. This is who I am. So you get to know somebody then outside of just, oh, it's Pastor Charlie and he preaches. Like, he'll tell you about his family. He'll tell you about what he likes to do. He'll tell you, well, he preaches about all that stuff anyway. Yeah, so you feel like you know him really well. But really, the heart behind a Get to Know Us luncheon is kind of twofold. It's for you to get to know Abundant Life Church better and decide in your heart, man, is this the place for me? Is this where I want to spend, the next years worshiping God? And if it is, we say, man, that's awesome. We would love to have you come be a part. But at the same time, if you want to come and just kind of check us out and you decide that, hey, I don't really know that that's for me, then we are totally fine with filling up your belly and sending you home to watch the Colts. Not a problem. Not a problem. We'll be a blessing to you. We'll be a blessing to you. But there's a team that sets up all of that Get to Know Us luncheon every month, man. There's a team that absolutely believes in sacrifice, that they cook the food, they prep everything, they clean it up afterwards. They're just a blessing, and that's complete sacrifice. They give up things that they love for something that they love more, of blessing new people at ALC. Or I think about a perfect example of this is the worship team, the guys that were just up here. Did you know that the worship team, man, they were here last night at 4 o'clock because service starts at 5. And they were here the whole evening through both services. And then they got here this morning at 7:30. Yeah, they were guitaring and singing at 7:30 in the morning. Yeah, and you guys were all still asleep because this is the 11:15 service. And then they stay through worship. They do a great job. But can I tell you, that's a sacrifice, man. They give up the thing they love, which is sleep, for the thing that they love more. They count it an honor and a blessing to be able to stand before you and worship and lead you. Man, that's a big deal in their world, and they love to do it. Otherwise, they wouldn't sacrifice. But they do. That team is full of people that love God and love to sacrifice. So again, sacrifice is part of our DNA, man. It's part of who we are as a church. It's part of who you are as Abundant Life Church. The next one that we need to talk about is called work. It says work hard. So write that down. It says we will work hard and laugh what? That's right. Nothing is more fun than serving God with people you love. The Bible says it this way. Then he said to them, this is in Nehemiah, go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, I think it's supposed to say tea after that. Drink the sweet tea. I think that's what it is. From McAllister's. We left that part out too. I'm just kidding. And send portions to those for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy to our Lord. Do not sorrow, for the what? The joy of the Lord is your? The joy of the Lord is your strength. Man, can I tell you that we work hard and laugh harder because we are filled with joy. We are filled with joy and we can't contain it. We can't help ourselves. Everything that's done here becomes fun in a game because we're so filled with joy. I'll tell you, man, we had a great group of ladies and guys that came and tore out the back of this sanctuary. They did an awesome job. And I would even dare to say that I know the Bible talks about spiritual gifts, but I think that Abundant Life Church, we have the spiritual gift of destruction. Because stuff was flying in here, man. Drywall and boards and brick walls were flying around. Like, we tore up some stuff really, really well. But can I tell you, man, that we worked hard in that. We got blisters. We were sweating. We're breathing hard. We're working hard. But at the same time, I don't know that I've laughed with a group of people more than the group that was back here ripping stuff out. We had a great time. And you say, well, where does that come from? Well, it comes from joy. Deep down on the inside, man. It comes from joy deep down on the inside. You know, you talk about work hard, and I think about that Vacation Bible School is another example of that. You know, you send your kids to Vacation Bible School during the summer, and they come and they're blessed, and they hang out, and it's really cool. Can I tell you, Miss Ashley Deck and her team, man, they set that up. And that week for them, they are on it, man. That's a hard week, you know? Because you'll talk to somebody and they're like, oh man, how was Vacation Bible School for you? And they're like, well, you know, I chased this little kid around all week. That's pretty much all I did. You know, or, you know, I was in charge of the painting and the glitter, and boy, woo, I think I got more on me than on the paper or something, you know. And they'll tell you about how hard that week is. But on the flip side, they'll say, man, we had so much fun. So much fun with the kids, so much fun with the adults. We just have fun together. And you catch that here when you come to a service. You catch it here as you walk through the hallway and the ushers, you know, are giving each other a hard time and they're messing around. Or you catch it if you come to a get-to-know us luncheon, you know, like as a staff and as a leadership, man, we'll poke on each other and we'll give each other a hard time, you know. But it's all in love. And it's all because we're so filled with joy and we enjoy being together. This place literally becomes a big family when you decide to be a part of it. So we're able to work hard and we're able to laugh harder, that's for sure. This next one, write down giving. Again, another ingredient to make us who we are. We will give God our first and our best. It says we realize we are stewards of our time, talents, resources, and God deserves the best of them all. Man, that's such a good principle. Such a good principle. So what that means is we give God our first and our best of our money, of our tithe and offering. We give God the first and our best of our time. We give God the first and the best of maybe some skills that we have. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be money. You know, maybe your first and your best are, maybe you're an excellent painter. And you come and you say, hey, if anything ever needs painted at the church, I would love to do that for you. Just donate my time and I'll come paint whatever you need me to paint. Maybe that's your first and your best. But that comes out of a heart that loves to give. Loves to give. So I want to tell you about this because I think, a little side note, you ready? I'm going to chase a rabbit for a second. I think at Abundant Life Church, God does such cool and incredible things here that we don't celebrate all the time like we could. There are testimonies that we get every week about what God's doing in people's lives. There are testimonies for things that God is doing that we don't take the time to say, hey, so-and-so wrote this letter and it says that God did this. Isn't that awesome? We just kind of move on with the services and keep going. But we're not here to pat ourselves in the back. But at the same time, man, God does things here. You can bet your bottom dollar on it for sure. All right? So I want to let you know about a few things that we do as a church. All right? Just the same way that God calls you to be a giver and tithe and be a blessing to people. We believe that God's called Abundant Life Church to be a blessing the same way. So what that means is what's given to this place doesn't just stay here. We are not a swamp. We're not a holding tank. We're not just collecting stuff to keep it here, right? We're collecting stuff to find what makes kingdom impact. And let's do that. Let's give to that, all right? So for example, what you give here goes towards these things. We support several missionaries around the world that are telling people about Jesus and reaching people for Christ. You support them so that they can go do that. You also help fund and support an orphanage in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, called Coat's Little Angels. And there are little boys and little girls there, man, that are learning about Jesus and are taken care of with their needs. So we send money every month so that they can go buy food and water, and we help pay some of the staff to help take care of them because they need somebody to teach them. They need somebody to pray for them like a pastor. They need somebody to cook some food for them to help them live and be healthy and strong. You help support that. Little boys and girls in an orphanage in Haiti don't have a mom or a dad, man, but they know that you care about them and that you love them. Did you know that you did that? It's pretty incredible. And you think, okay, take it out of the world and bring it into Kokomo. Do we do anything for Kokomo? Man, absolutely. Absolutely. We have helped as needs have come up with CAM, needs have come up with Habitat for Humanity, different organizations like that are local to Kokomo. Man, we've helped support those kinds of things. We help families, man, that run into a crisis all of a sudden. And it's like, oh my gosh, I need some help. We've helped families like that. One of the coolest things I think that we do is we have partnered with St. Vincent Hospital, St. Joe Hospital, not Howard. You guys good for that? Just kidding. I get confused on what that thing's called. We love Howard Hospital, Howard Community, but we've partnered with St. Joe, St. Vincent. We'll call it St. Vincent for now. We've partnered with them. And so what you do, part of the money that you give that comes to this place is we believe in blessing little kids that come out of surgery. So what happens is a child goes in and has surgery in that hospital. When they come out of surgery, they're given a little pillow pet. You guys know what pillow pets are? Like the little things that, the thing with the strap and you make it in, anyway. The kids get one of those and it's got a tag on it. It says, we're praying for you and we love you. Love Abundant Life Church. It's something like that. We found a way to give to kids and their families that are in kind of a stressful moment. As kids are healing from surgery, that's unknown times, and it can be stressful. And if a pillow pet makes a kid feel better, man, let's hook them up. If that brings peace to a family, to let them know that things are going to be all right, man, let's give them a pillow pet. We found that that's a way that we can minister and love on people in the midst of kind of a tough situation and can take care of them. Your giving goes toward that. You have a heart to give, but Abundant Life Church also has a heart to give because we give God our first and our best. We give God our first and our best. It says in Proverbs 11:25, it talks about giving. It says, the generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. All throughout the Bible, God set it up where you're a blessing to people, God blesses you. God honors a heart that has a heart for giving, that wants to sow into other people and wants to be a blessing to them. The Bible talks about it all over the place there's a blessing attached to that for sure. The next principle that I want you to write down is this one, excellence. It says we will do all that we do with excellence. Excellence honors God and inspires who? Excellence honors God and inspires people. Now, can I tell you that does not say perfection? God honors perfection. Perfection honors God and inspires people. That's not it. It's excellence. Because can I tell you that if your goal and your heart, if our heart as a church was to be perfect, can I tell you that we would fail every time? There is only one guy that was on this planet that was ever perfect, and his name was Jesus. We're not him. So our heart and our goal is to not be perfect because we'll fail. But our heart can be for excellence because we can achieve that. Let me tell you a story. We'll go back to Chick-fil-A because I can poke it because you can't have any today. Well, I guess neither can I. Chick-fil-A was founded by a man named Truett Cathy in 1964. All right? Somewhere along the lines of the growth of the growth of their business, the board members were all sitting down at a table and were discussing how they were going to keep pace with another company named Boston Market. You guys have heard of Boston Market before? Yeah. So Boston Market and Chick-fil-A were in the same race for who's going to corner the market on chicken, right? There aren't too many Boston Markets anymore, so I think you could probably figure out who won. But anyway, as the story goes, all the board guys are sitting in Chick-fil-A and they're trying to figure out how are we going to keep pace with Boston Market. Truett Cathy is also sitting in that meeting. And so they're talking about, man, if we built this many stores in this amount of time, we could kind of keep pace with how they're doing because Boston Market's idea was to plant stores all over the place. And they were building like crazy. And Chick-fil-A felt like, oh no, they're passing us and we're going to lose. And so they're in this board meeting and man, they're just talking it up, trying to figure out what they're going to do. And the story goes like this, that Truett Cathy had listened for several minutes and had kind of had enough. And so he took his hand and he slammed it on the table. And if you knew Truett Cathy, that was very not his personality. And so immediately everybody stops and is listening to him of like, okay, what's going on? And Truett Cathy stood up and he said this. He said, we don't need to be concerned with being bigger. We need to be concerned with being better. If we'll take care of being better, then bigger will take care of itself. Let me tell you that one more time. Don't be concerned with being bigger. Be concerned with being better. If you'll take care of better, then bigger will take care of itself. And if you see in that business and in that company, that's exactly what they do. You're drawn to Chick-fil-A because everything that they do is better, with excellence. The people that serve you food there are bar none the kindest, friendliest people you ever meet in your life. You know, the food there is excellent. The restrooms are clean. They play Christian music. The people that are there will help you with anything. Anything. And if you tell them thank you, their response is always, my pleasure. Can I tell you, man, that is excellent. But it's because True and Kathy had the idea of, we don't need to worry about getting bigger. Let's focus on us and get better. What can we do better? Can I tell you that Abundant Life Church, man, we breathe that same way. I've been at Abundant Life Church for about 10 years, maybe a little bit more. And can I tell you that we have never had a goal of being a big church? We've never talked about that. Never talked about it. We talk about numbers of who's coming, how are we doing, we're growing, that's cool. But the goal has never been, hey, this year, let's grow, 500 people. Never happened. Never happened. The goal has never been to be a big church. But can I tell you, our goal every weekend is to be excellent, is to be better. So I'll let you know, when we have staff meetings on Monday mornings after a weekend of services, right? We come in on Monday mornings, and we sit down with Pastor Charlie, and everybody is in there. We sit down to the conference table, and we go around and we talk about, hey, how was kids ministry this weekend, man? How did it go? What's going on there? How was worship this weekend? How did the parking lot do? We need to order more donuts. We ran out of donuts. Or, this is great. This is going on, blah, 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 blah. We go all the way around the table. Then we go back around the table, and this is every week. And we talk about, okay, kids ministry. Kids ministry. Ashley, what can we do better for next weekend that we didn't do this weekend? What can we smooth out? What can we make better in kids ministry for next weekend? Worship. How can we have better worship for next weekend? Preaching. That's not even, we'll talk about that. What can we do better preaching-wise to be more effective for people next weekend than we did this weekend? Our heart is always, and we lean in towards being better, being excellent. And the proof is that when you do things excellent, man, people are drawn to that. People are attracted to things that are excellent, which is why Chick-fil-A is so successful, which is part of the reason why Abundant Life Church is successful. People are drawn to things that are excellent, and we have a heart for doing things excellent, the very, very best that we can. I've seen people leave this church before that have a heart like this, that have picked up trash on the ground on their way out the parking lot. We didn't tell them to do that. We don't have a trash cleanup crew. They just saw a need. They may have saw a kid's sticker on the ground and said, you know what, I'm going to pick that up and throw it away because this place is excellent, and I want to keep it that way. Man, that's proof that they have a heart for that stuff. And you and I, we're a part of Abundant Life Church that believes in excellence. Therefore, we have a heart for excellence as well. To go along with excellence, we have this core value as well. This one's called integrity. It says integrity. We will honor Christ and his church with integrity. If we live with integrity, nothing else matters. If we don't live with integrity, nothing matters. Can I tell you that unique to Abundant Life Church, in my world, I don't know many churches that are this way. We put everything on the table. We're as upfront, honest, clear, transparent as we can be. So it's not uncommon for you to come and hear Pastor Charlie talk about, hey, we don't need to spend $7.5 million on a building. That's what it would cost. I think we should do this instead. We're okay to tell you numbers of stuff, money. We're okay to tell you kind of what we're believing God for, vision-wise. We're okay to tell you, man, we're struggling with this area right here. Can you pray for us as a church? Can I also tell you that individuals in this church absolutely believe in integrity? If you see Pastor Charlie preach on a Sunday morning, and then you find him, at the automotive place on Monday, or walking through Meijer during the week, or hanging out with his family, can I tell you that he is the same guy? He's the same guy, whether he's preaching, whether he's there. He lives a life of integrity. Can I tell you that all of the leaders, staff here, man, it's the same way. The only Toph that I know how to be is Toph. That's all I got. There's not a church Toph. There's not a work Toph. There's not a driving home Toph. I'm just Toph, man. I'm just Toph. This is all I know how to be. It's integrity, man. It's transparent and real. And we keep things real here. Whether it's in the message, whether it's how we talk to each other, man. You'll never find an Abundant Life Church where there's a divisive plan. We're scheming behind the scenes. It's none of that. For the best that we know how to do, we stay drama-free because we believe in this principle right here. Integrity. Integrity. And it's hard to find a church that way. But God honors that, man. People grow because there's not a bunch of games and drama here. We just call it like we see it, and man, we'll own it, and let's move on. Good, bad, or ugly. We may knock things out of the park sometimes. Sometimes we may mess some stuff up. And we'll tell you, man, we messed that up. Well, we don't want to do that anymore. Let's go this way instead. Because we live lives of integrity. You, as a part of Abundant Life Church, man, you're a part of a church that believes in integrity, which is stinking awesome. So this last one that I want you to write down is this. Life transformation. It says we will have life transformation, not behavior what? Not behavior modification. And you say, Toph, man, that's a bunch of words. And you sound like Dr. Seuss. Life transformation, behavior modification. So let me explain to that real quick, all right? We have two groups of people usually that come to Abundant Life Church, all right? We have people that come with a religious background, that have been in church before, have a relationship with God, kind of have things figured out, know what the Bible says, all that kind of stuff. We also have groups of people that come that don't have any spiritual background at all. Those are the people that come and they're like, yeah, man, Pastor Charlie and I used to ride bikes as kids, and I heard him on the radio, and he was funny, so I thought I'd come to his church. People like that, you know? People that heard him on the radio and were like, man, I didn't know he was a pastor. He's hilarious. Let me come listen to him. It's people like that. So what that means then is you have two groups of people here. So our expectation for you is not behavior modification. Behavior modification would look like this. We'll take worship, for example. It would be for Pastor Charlie to get up here and say, you know what, guys? I'm disappointed in you. Because when you worship, this is what it needs to look like. You need to clap your hands. You need to put your hands up. And you need to sway. And if you're not doing that, then you're not really worshiping. And why are you not worshiping? Do you not love God? What's the deal? You should do this. That's behavior modification, man. We'll make you feel like a dirtbag to try to get you to do something. Now, let me tell you something. This may shock you, all right? We are totally fine for you to come to Abundant Life Church, and you don't have to worship if you don't want to. You can stand there, put your hands in your pockets. We'll play awesome music. God will move, and you can stand there and just hang out. We're okay with that. It really is. It's okay. Because what we know, that people that come in here that don't know, is that God works in those kinds of hearts. Everybody kind of starts like this, maybe sometimes. You know? Maybe we do something that's a little uncomfortable for you. And you think, okay, I'm not laughing at Pastor Charlie's jokes. He's not funny. Because we're not supposed to laugh in church. But what happens is the culture that's created in this place, the atmosphere that's here, it'll begin to change who you are on the inside. Your life will begin to transform. To the point of you'll come in on a weekend and you'll figure out, you know what? They've been playing these songs, man, and I love these things. And so this time, I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna stay right here. Have you guys seen? It's a side note. Have you guys seen Hitch? Is it Hitch? Where he's like, don't be doing all this crazy stuff. Stay right here. Stay right here. That's what I thought of. Just like, so it's totally fine if you just want to come in and sway maybe just a little bit. But then we know that, boy, once you start that, then you may start to clap on some of the songs. You better watch out. And pretty soon you may put your hand up a little bit. And what we realize is that God is transforming who you are on the inside. We don't have to mandate it. We don't have to make you do it. You'll want to. You'll choose to because your life is being transformed. That's what happens in this place. It's not that we make you do stuff, but it's God really does encounter us and changes who we are on the inside. And our lives are transformed forever. So I found this quote. And if you got just 30 seconds to write this thing down, it's really good. It says this. It says, what we believe determines what we value. And what we value defines how we live. Let me read it to you one more time because this is really good, and then I'll explain it. What we believe determines what we value. And what we value defines how we live. So what does that mean for Abundant Life Church? What does that mean for this place? Man, let me tell you, what we believe that God is who he is. We believe the Bible is the word of God. We believe that Jesus literally came and died on the cross to save us from sin and from hell so that we can have a relationship with God and be able to go to heaven. We believe that God's best for us really is an abundant life. Can I tell you that those things are not changing? We're locked into who God says that he is. We're locked into God moving in this place. and that the Bible is true, absolutely. And it says all kinds of things, and it leads us and guides us. Can I tell you that out of that belief determines what we value? What do we value? Well, we have 10 core values. We have 10 ingredients that make us who we are. Whether it's sacrifice or work hard, laugh harder, whether it's giving, whether it's life transformation, not behavior modification. Those things anchor us into how we're going to do church. We believe in those so much that as you leave the sanctuary today, I don't know if you've ever noticed this or not, as you leave the sanctuary today, on the west side of the wall, the right side, there are 10 little posters hanging up on the wall. And they have these core values on them. The whole thing written out. We believe in excellence. Excellence honors God and inspires people. The whole thing is written out. And those are on the wall, and they've been on the wall for a long time. Because we want people to know at any point in any time, man, what is Abundant Life Church about? What do they really stand for? What are they believing? 10 things right on the wall, baby. You can read them every time you come in here if you want. Take pictures of them. You can do whatever. Because that's who we are as a church. That's who we are as a church. And it's out of believing the Bible. It's out of what we value, core values, that it comes to how we live. So let me tell you this. We'll go back to Chick-fil-A for just a second. I'm trying really hard. Okay, so 1964, Truett Cathy creates a chicken sandwich, right? Can I tell you that the same sandwich that he created in 1964 is the same sandwich that you and I enjoy today? Tomorrow. Chick-fil-A's closed today. But for real, it's the same sandwich. The ingredients, the way that he made it back then, is what you enjoy today. That sandwich hasn't changed. But maybe the restaurant has changed around it, the building. Maybe the way that they serve food has changed. Maybe now they serve waffle fries and ice cream. Maybe now that they have kids' areas and bathrooms that are nice. But the chicken sandwich never changed. Never changed. You eat the same sandwich that he created all those years ago. Can I tell you it's the same way for Abundant Life Church? Who we are, what we value, isn't changing. It's how we run church, man. If you would have come to this place 5 years ago, it's the same core values. It's the same. God is the same. He hasn't changed. Our core values haven't changed. What's going on around it? It looks a little different 5 years ago to today. The same as that chicken sandwich. What's going on around it has changed. So I want to encourage you in this. I've heard people say, man, Abundant Life Church is growing, and I hope that it doesn't get too big. I hope that it doesn't change and it doesn't feel like it does now, because I really like how it is now. Man, if you buy into God who says who he is, and you buy into what's written on those walls out there, of the core values of who we are, then you know that we won't change. We've been this way for years, and we're going to continue to be this way for years. It's how we do church. It's our identity, man. It's what we value. Now, things around it may change. The church may look different. We may build a new building. We may add on here or take this part down or go over here and do this or go over here and do that. But can I tell you, the heart and the core of who we are, man, is solid, and it's not changing. And so I pray that you have confidence and you're excited about the weeks and days and months and years to come for Abundant Life Church. Because what that means is that God is blessing this place. And in return, God is blessing you, man. He's growing people through this ministry. Whether it's you're brand new to Christ or whether you have a background with Jesus, man, we're all learning and growing. I am not the same dude that came here 10 years ago that's standing up here today. I'm learning and growing all the time. And God has been faithful to this place, faithful through the people that are here because of what we stand for, what we believe, who we are. So be encouraged that no matter what comes, changes, grows, we need to get rid of any of that kind of stuff, man. The identity of who we are, the guts of Abundant Life Church are tried and true, man. We're staying with God and what he has called us to do to this place. And it's a blessing to people's lives. We're reaching people literally around the world, transforming people's lives because of who we are, who you are in this place. And that's exciting. That's exciting. All right, so bow your heads. Let me pray for you this morning, all right?